Hello, my Planty Pals. I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Pearl. This is my channel, Plants with Pearl, where I talk about houseplants. I also have a website by the same name, www.plantswithpearl.ca. So if you're in Canada, make sure to check that out right now. I've got tons of beautiful plants just waiting to go to their new homes. It's been a minute. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. While I have been on a bit of a hiatus for the last couple months, I would love to have a reason for being absent. I don't, so sorry about that, but I'm back now. Today's video is part 2 of things that I wish I knew when I was a beginner plant parent. So if you haven't seen part 1, I literally start the video mid-sentence, so you're going to want to stop and head up to whichever corner has the link right now and click on that and go watch part 1 and then come back. So get ready to sit back, relax, and watch me repot a bunch of my plants while I talk about things that I have learned and wish I knew when I was brand new to plants as a hobby. Anyways, I hope you really enjoy this video and I'll see you soon. So soil. What you don't want to do is you don't want to be using soil straight out of the bag. If you've been doing that up until this point, you don't need to panic right now, and you definitely don't need to go repot all of your plants. Just as you repot them, you now know better, and you can not do that. On the other side of that, you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on 20 different add-ins to put into your soil. I know people on the internet make that look really fun and exciting, but it's just really expensive, and I found that it's really not necessary. I've experimented with different mixes and different ratios of different mix-ins. At the bare minimum, I would say you at least want to be adding perlite into your soil, extra perlite. Perlite comes in the soil, and that's this little white kind of popcorny styrofoam stuff. At the very least, you want to make sure that you're mixing a pretty good amount of perlite into your soil. It really helps with drainage, and it'll just really help prevent you from drowning your plants and making sure that roots get air. And yeah, it's just very helpful. I do have every intention of making a video about soils, but yeah, what you don't want to do is just go buy a bag of Miracle-Gro potting mix and just pot all your plants in there. Can that be fine? Can it work? Yes, but you can do better. You can be better. As plant parents, we're constantly growing and learning and applying our new knowledge to our most favorite hobby. Next up on deck is this Mame. Yes, Philodendron Mame Silver Cloud. She's very cute. My next piece of advice is just maybe something to consider, and that is with those plant cabinets that people like to make. Now, I've seen so many beautiful ones, and the concept is cool, and I do like the way they look, and it can be a very pretty, very aesthetic way of displaying your plants, and they look really nice with like the lights and the fog, and they're beautiful. But for me, at least, I don't, how do I say this? Just never really understood like the long-term plan for those cabinets, because typically very limited in height. And if you're growing any plants that like to take up space, like to stretch out their arms, like this Cuprea, for me, I have a really hard time understanding what's the long-term plan for, like, where are you gonna, your plants are gonna stay in there for a few months, and then you have to kick them out of there. And I guess you could just keep filling it with new baby plants, but I don't know. And I'm sure it's a lot of fun setting them up. But for me, at least, I don't understand or see like the long-term plan. It would just really stress me out to spend all of that time and money. They can be so expensive, especially when you start adding in lights and making crazy modifications, and I don't know. It's just, to me, it seems like a lot of effort and potentially cost for something very temporary and not necessary. Again, if it brings you joy and you've got that cash to burn, I love that for you. It's just not something that's for me. I don't buy plants that tend to stay small. I like to have really big, I want to feel like I'm overwhelmingly in a jungle. So I like to buy plants with the intention of growing them as big or as lush as I can. I will still be your friend if you don't have a cabinet. I also don't have a cabinet. Done. He's so pretty. All right. Finally time to repot my Anthurium Regal Shield. Isn't she gorgeous? I got this at a plant show earlier this year, and I previously mentioned she's been in quarantine for entirely too long. Today, we're upgrading her. This is for an advanced beginner and on in your plant parent journey, and that is, don't be scared to buy roughish looking plants. Plants that look like they've seen some things. Plants that look like they've had a really long day at work. Don't let a plant having some rough looking leaves stop you from buying it, especially if the price is right. Some places will have, rescue tables or as-is tables, and they're definitely worth taking a look at. It's a great way to expand your collection, especially if you're working on a budget. And if you enjoy, or if you are starting to enjoy rehabbing plants. The most important thing that you want to keep an eye out for is what the roots look like. It's less about what the leaves look like. The roots are what you look for. So if you come across a plant and she looks rough above the soil, but you take a peek and she's got really healthy, happy looking roots, definitely take your chances. Sometimes you can score plants that you didn't think you were going to be able to have in your budget yet. And there is definitely a sense of pride that comes with bringing back a plant from the brink of death. So don't let how a plant looks in its current form stop you from bringing it into your life. It's so satisfying to just take a plant that is not looking great and turn it into something beautiful and lush and happy. Now this plant is desperate for a repot and a haircut, so I'm sorry. This is my fault. She's been screaming at me for a bigger pot since the leaves got small. I haven't been listening. So please forgive me. I'm sorry. So yeah, the ugly leaves are temporary. The satisfaction of bringing a plant back to life is forever. Look how desperate she was. Oh, I'm so sorry, plant. Yeah, she was real desperate for room. She was literally growing out of the tiny little drainage hole at the bottom of the pot. Sorry. You do want to take into consideration at the beginning of your journey, especially when you are still very much in the throes of learning, like how to just keep multiple plants alive, because that can be the transition from having a few plants to having like a bigger collection can be a lot. Only spend as much money on a plant that you are comfortable setting on fire. Just throwing it right into the flames. And that's because your plant might die. Plants can be really, really expensive. I think we're all aware of that. As tempting as it might be to get a new exciting plant that you just learned about, or they're really hard to find in your area, I just don't want you to set yourself up for heartbreak. So only buy plants, at least at the beginning, only buy plants that are an amount of money that you'd be okay completely just losing, completely just poof, gone, evaporated. Because plants are living things and they can die. And it can be our fault. All right, I've got my last plant that I'm going to be repotting today. This is my little baby Alocasia Mellow. Yes, very cute. Never used to be an alocasia girl, but they're cool. So I have started introducing them into the collection, and we're having fun. So the final piece of advice today that I want to leave with you for my baby plant parents / things that I just wish that I knew at the beginning of my plant parent journey is if a plant is just not agreeing with you and it's just driving you nuts, get rid of it. Get rid of it. You can do whatever you want with it. You can stop watering it and let it die. I've done that before, 100% out of spite and pettiness. You can throw it out. I won't tell anybody. I've also done that before. Or you can give it away, or you can try and sell it. But at the end of the day, if a plant is bringing you more grief than joy, you don't have to keep it. Just get rid of it. Or if you just stop liking a plant too, it doesn't have to be for any specific reason. There's no point in keeping plants that you don't like. And then you either have room for a new plant, or if you sell it, you have some funds to go towards getting a new plant that you will like. Because what's the point in torturing ourselves if we're doing this thing that is supposed to be fun? Doesn't make sense to me. Well, my Planty Pals, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me while I repot a bunch of my plants and rambled. Hopefully there was some helpful things in there. If it starts feeling like too much of a chore or that it's stressing you out and you're not enjoying it anymore, downsize, get rid of plants that just aren't working for you. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you're still watching this video, hit that thumbs up button, give me that like, and make sure you check out my website if you're in Canada, www.plantswithpearl.ca. I hope you have a really fantastic day. Really hope that your houseplants cooperate for you. And if you have a houseplant that is giving you more grief than joy, just boot it out of your life. Get out of here. We don't have time for that. Thanks. Have a good one. All right.